directors on, and they tell us like, oh, Governor Lou's going to give us this much and that much, and that's and it turned into a whole nightmare for the budget. But again, that news here, the LEAP program, where it's basically going to be a local version of the Paycheck Protection Program with the use of American Rescue Plan funds. Is it going to get rammed through? I don't know. It might be some debate on the floor about this, as I already know some senators are raising issue about money that's already been appropriated to tax refunds. So we'll see. But hey, miss a link, miss a lot, and you got it here first at 7:41. Something else you're getting first this morning. Tomas Manglona, who is live from the CNMI for his CNMI regional report as well as the daily question. Tomas, it's Friday. Biba Betnes.
Good morning, Tomas.
Happy Friday, everyone. I'm reporting to you live here on Saipan outside of the multi-purpose center where early voting is continuing for the special election for Precinct 3. And as tomorrow the polls will close and we'll for sure know the winner by the end of the day here on Saipan. And so I wanted to share, though, that just before we went live here, we got an update from one of the Election Commission officials who say that Precinct 3, as we reported, is one of the largest precincts here on Saipan. They had about 3,600 registered voters. However, this Election Commission official told me that only about 21% of them have voted, which is not typical for an election turnout. So only about 21% of the 3,600 voters have turned out for the special election so far. That official saying that's not typical. And so I wanted to share that update. Of course, we'll be reporting throughout tomorrow and have more on Monday about the special election for Precinct 3. And as we know, this is going to fill the seat and complete the term of the late Representative Ivan Blanco, who passed away, unfortunately, over the summer. And in more regional news, wanted to share a bit of an interview that we did recently with a Guam resident. Some might know her, Muñeca de Oro, who decided to move to Saipan just a few weeks ago for a safe refuge. And you'll hear more in this next clip as she explains why she decided to make the move to Saipan as she is 8 months pregnant.
Because I'm having a baby, and I hated the fact of not being able to see my nana all the time, or even when I would see family, even as close as my sisters, just like having to have that anxiety around that interaction, like who have they been around, what have they been doing, and are they being safe? And I don't want to have to be the one to transmit the virus, to contract it and transmit it to anyone, and I don't want that to happen to me. And knowing too that there have been people on Guam with children who are babies and who are 2 years old who are getting the virus, and even though their survival rate is really high, it still gives me anxiety even after I give birth, to go around and introduce the baby to my family. And it was just wanting to keep myself safe and the baby and my baby safe in this time is something that really motivated me to make the move, because this place is a lot safer. And yeah, I also had an acquaintance who, when she gave birth, tested at GMH and was tested positive, and the baby was taken away from her right away. This was over a year ago, but still, like not being able to see her baby and not being able to be with her baby for the first few days it's such a critical time for both a mother and a child, and that was a really traumatic experience for her. So having to have that anxiety too around contracting it and not even knowing, and then going into the hospital and being separated from the baby. I'm not sure if that's still GMH's policy, but it's that was a huge factor. I also knew another pregnant woman within the last 2 months who contracted the virus. She was 8 months pregnant and got pneumonia and was in the ICU for over a week and a half. And it was just a really trying time for her family. And to know that that's the reality of Guam right now, and that there's a place 100 miles away that's a lot safer, and I wouldn't have to deal with that sort of paranoia that I was experiencing, along with navigating pregnancy with gestational diabetes, which also makes me really high risk, and along with just grieving life as a normal life and grieving the loss of a friend. It was definitely the mental aspect of living on Guam, and just the social anxiety around and social anxiety about being on Guam right now was a huge reason to want to come here.
And as we reported, the last time the CNMI has had community transmission was about 200 days ago. Most of the cases here on Saipan were identified at the border through their 5-day mandatory quarantine, which we also got an inside look on reporting from quarantine there. And so we'll have more on that on the newscast, and of course with the special election and all else that is happening here in the CNMI. And wanted to just switch gears a little bit and talk about our daily question, which solicited many responses. Yesterday we asked, should unvaccinated individuals with a negative test be able to participate in activities that vaccinated people are able to do? One of the first responses we got on our Facebook page was from Nicole. She writes, stop the segregation. It's obvious that vaccinated people are testing positive as well. So if you want to test the unvaccinated, vaccinated people should get tested as well. Let people enjoy themselves, work out in gyms, participate in sports. And she writes in all caps, stop the segregation. Another comment we received over our direct messages on Instagram, this commenter writing, yes, since they are tested negative, but should be getting tested every week. Another commenter direct messaging us saying, it's obvious that the vaccinated can still catch and spread the disease. She said, this commenter says it's discrimination. Another commenter writing, no, please get vaccinated, telling that to the unvaccinated. Wanted to share a few more of our comments that we got in our Instagram post. One from Alani who says, yeah, it should be a choice whether or not to be vaccinated, not a mandate. Another commenter saying, yes, just make them sign a waiver, though should anything happen to them. This includes at eating establishments, etc. And our last two comments, E. Mendiola on Instagram writing, yes, they should be able to do what we do. There's no reason they shouldn't if even us vaccinated can test positive and still give it to others. Yes, they may be unvaccinated, but that's their choice. You can't control them and their decision. And the last comment we wanted to share there was from Ken Hernandez, who writes on Facebook. He says, everyone wants to comment fighting words until their kid tests positive. I day, he writes. And so that's our daily question from yesterday and some of the responses that got engagement. And we'll post this morning asking you for what questions you want to ask. And reporting live here on Saipan, my name is Tomas Manglona for KUM News.
Thank you, Tomas. Great job.
Good job, Tomas. Right on. Tomas Manglona there with the daily question and a CNMI report, 7:48. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of The Link, which is brought to you by Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, Jack in the Box.